Hi guys, welcome back to LFTV. The 25-26 Premier League season is approaching, with us currently being in the summer transfer window, and I'm just going to give my thoughts. I'm going to give my opinion on what I would like to see kind of changed and kind of stamped down upon for the new season to kind of, make it a better season than some others have been in terms of the rulings and everything. So there's two major things that I think I would like to see changed. And the first one I'll talk about is the rulings of, well, actually, no, let's say three now because I just thought of something. But let's say there's three things. I think one and two are going to be the rules on handball and probably offsides. I think the rule on handball, first of all, is probably the biggest thing because that's a lot of controversy around it. There's a lot of things in the rules that it's left a bit ambiguous with the rules, and it's not an exact rule to follow, which leads it to be in the opinion of the ref whether they give something as a penalty, whether they give something as a handball. And I think what they just need to do with these rules, they just really need to streamline a couple of them, specifically the handball rule, because at the moment, with it being used as what's deemed as in a natural position for the arm to be in, again, that leaves it very ambiguous because if you don't have something that says it's a fixed position, because a lot of the times you see that a lot of players obviously are now defending right with their arms right by their side because they have to do that, because otherwise if they have it out the slightest bit, then refs can give it as a penalty. And this doesn't even just apply to the Premier League. Actually, it very much applies to the Champions League as well, because they give even harsher handballs for handballs anyway. So it kind of applies to both. But it's just one of those things that they really need to kind of get a streamline on it, because otherwise, again, it's going to be a thing of we're going to see decisions that's going to be ruining games, or you're going to see decisions that are just going to be absolutely ridiculous that everyone's going to complain about. And probably then just going to get more apologies from the PGMOL to clubs anyway, which again doesn't even do anything anyway. It doesn't change the fact that they made the wrong decision, and that club has a disadvantage because of it. Like, it's something that just needs to change. They just need to have something. If they make it a specific distance between, like if they say your arm's in a specific distance from your body or something, they just need something. Or if they just keep it a consistent rule, because again, that's a big thing anyway, is that the consistency is just absolutely shit in the Premier League. It's the worst. Our refs are the absolute worst, I think, out of any league. They're shocking. They're complete shit, and we really need better ones. But I think if you kind of at least make the rules in a streamlined way, then it might help with the inconsistency of our refs at least a little bit to maybe get better decisions. Because at the moment, like last season and many seasons before, it's just shocking, and it really needs to get better. But I think if they can come up with something, there's just something, at least, even it being with VAR and stuff, like you see actual Premier League ex-Premier League players who've played the game, like commentators and everything, and pundits, they give their opinion on it, and theirs is usually quite accurate because they've played the game before, and they know how a lot of it works. They know how a lot of it goes. They know what is more of an actual position than most refs. They know how, if they're defending, they know how you defend. They know how your body's going to move. They know how your arms are going to move in a specific way when you're defending. So even something like that, I know it's happened before. A lot of people saying online before that, why not get some ex-Premier League players or ex-players to be in the VAR, or to have some sort of input in, because they know what they're talking about. They've played the game before. It's up to refs who've never played the game, and they're just doing it from their own opinion, doing it from kind of trying to go off the rule book, which again isn't streamlined enough to really be able to go off of it. So there's a lot of problems that I wish we would kind of get addressed, because otherwise it's just going to continue happening with these inconsistent these mistakes being made, and not a lot gets done about it, because you see they just give out apologies. But what does apologies do to the teams that are losing points? It does absolutely fuck all. So it's just ridiculous. But Anyway, if they can find a way, I think the handball one is a lot harder than others, just because it is a few factors in it. There's like the distance that is struck, there's the power it gets struck in. Again, there's the way your hand, depending where your arms are and everything, in like compared to your body and stuff. There's a lot of things that, so it's a hard decision, to be fair, and I can understand why the handball one is quite a difficult one. But even if they come together and just have a talk about their like about they just need someone to have a bit of consistency with it. If they had they ever talk to each other and say what they're willing to give as a handball, what they're not willing to give, and just give them some sort of range, because at least then it keeps it a bit more consistent compared to some refs. It gives one up here that gives a handball and one that doesn't, and they're a completely different spectrum. They're completely away from each other, which leads the consistency to be completely away from each other. So it's just ridiculous. But anyway, yeah, that's one. I think that'd be a difficult one. But I think another one that potentially could change. I think offsides are a bit of an interesting one, because I think obviously where we have VAR, and VAR isn't by nature a bad thing, because it does correct mistakes, and we've seen VAR used in the right ways. It's just, again, the lack of consistency with it, and the amount of mistakes that are being made with it. But I think with offsides, with it being like down to literal inches, it being so harsh to attackers that are like by the slightest margin offside, I think they should make a little change with offsides to give the benefit of the doubt to the attacker. If it's like the really, really small decisions, like the ones that are literally inches, or literally they're like a toe is offside, those decisions seem very harsh, and I feel like they should change to make it benefit the attacker. But if they're then like a foot offside or something like that, then you should be able to give it in favour of the defender and give it as offside. Again, they should just come with a decision of how much you're going to give to an attacker, and vice versa. That one's a bit of an easier decision, because all you have to say is a specific measurement you give, and if it's over that with the offside, then there you go, make it offside. But if it's within that distance, and just give the benefit to the attacker. Yeah, again, that one's, I feel like, a lot easier one to do, and I think one that should be done, because I think it is a little bit harsh, and it gets a little bit or like ridiculous with the decisions, or with the VAR decision, especially when they had to draw the lines and it was just taking ages. It's a bit better now if we have the automated offsides and everything, and you could probably keep it. You could potentially keep it as the way it is, like with the tiniest of margins. You could probably keep it, because it's a lot quicker, but either way, though, it still seems like it's still a bit of a harsh thing considering. But if it's kept the same way, and if we get the automated offsides, we get a better system and everything, and then it's not so bad. But yeah, and I think, but then now moving on to my last point, and I think probably the one that is the biggest one and really needs to be addressed is not a rule change or anything, but it's the thing of players diving, and it's the really light fouls that are being given. I think last season is probably the worst I've seen it. I feel like last season was ridiculous with the amount of diving going on, the amount of like tiniest of soft touches that players go down for. It's just utterly ridiculous, and I think that is really, really something that needs to change, because it's crazy. Players fall down for the slightest touches, or they get the tiniest little hit in the face and they go down holding their face. It's just ridiculous. Like, refs again need to come together and really be a lot more. They need to not be scared now, because the refs are very scared, I think, to even to give decisions, or they're very scared to go and book players for diving. I think at points last season it got better. You saw refs giving bookings for diving, but you still see a lot of it. A lot of players who just the slightest of touches off the ball and they fall down and they get given the penalty. They get given a free kick, or they get given a foul. The refs need to stop being deceived by this. They need to stop being fooled by these players who are not injured, who are not getting fouled. They need to really kind of stamp it out a little bit. They need to come together and say that they're not gonna be given these fouls. They're not gonna be putting up with it now. They need to, because It's ridiculous the amount of stuff there is, and there's been players that have been sent off for the tiniest of touches, and when it shouldn't even be a foul. That's happened to players, you know. You get some people get the silliest yellow cards when it's not even a foul, and teams score off of it as well. They give a free kick that's nowhere, like never should have been a foul, and they score from it. It's ridiculous. And that's the thing that is, it just kind of ruins the game a little bit, where the rest are buying into these players, buying into them, jumping on the floor like absolute bellends, and they're flopping around, and they are falling for it. The rest, they really need to sort it out a little bit, and I would hope they would, but it just seems the rest don't really give a shit, or the PJML or whoever, they just don't care, and they don't really want to improve the game. They don't really want to go and improve it, so it makes it better. Because again, they've changed the rules all the time, but they just really need to make it streamlined. They really need to make it a clear cut fact of what it is, so that you can go by that, and then hopefully it'd make it more consistent with the decisions that are being made. Because at least if there's a harsh decision goes against you, at least if that harsh decision, you see that happen in another game, it's not as bad, because at least that's the consistency that they've set, and that's what's going to happen all the way throughout. But that doesn't at the moment. You see one decision gets given, the other doesn't, by two different refs, and then that's the lack of consistency, and that's why everyone gets upset about it. So that's what they need to do. Or just give a bit of consistency again. Get these rules more streamlined. Get them so everyone knows what they are, and you see, and then that hopefully makes it so you see the rules are being consistent with every single ref. Every single ref should be able to give near enough the same sort of decision all the way throughout, because the rules are set in how they should, and they've been told kind of what their limit should be of what the fouls are, whatever. They should have some sort of consistency to go by. And again, and then refs also need to just stamp down more on the dive in, make sure they're giving yellows out, and make sure they're not being fooled by the fouls that aren't fouls. There's not a lot of physicality left much in the Premier League anymore. There needs to be a bit more back into it again, because you see some players get shoved off the ball. They're not physically strong enough, but they'll give it as a foul, and it's never a foul. So that's really the things I think should be changed, because I think if they can be done right, you'll see it. I don't know. You just see it'd be better. You see the game will probably flow a lot more, because there's not as many fouls. You're not going to see as much diving, because they'll stamp down on it, and you'd hope the consistency would be better. Potentially might not get better. Potentially might stay the same. But at least if we saw a change trying to come in, at least we saw the Premier League. We saw somebody trying to help out, just help out either the refs as well, because I'm sure it's not easy for them either, when the rules are very ambiguous, and they have a lot of leeway to give with decisions, so it's not easy to them either. So it's a fact of, it at least helps them out as well, and it helps them, and they not get as much abuse potentially. So it helps in both parties. It helps with fans be a lot happier with decisions and be happy with the consistency, and then it just helps refs. At least they know the standard set, and they know what they should be given, what they shouldn't be given as a foul. But it'd just be good to see something change. I think that needs to happen, for at least if to continue on. It'd be nice. It'd be nice if it could happen. Will it? Who knows? But we'll see. We'll see. Hopefully it might get better. Hopefully the consistency will get better. That's all I'm asking for. I think that's all most fans ask for, because you see there's too many apologies being sent out, and you can't do anything with the apology. If you lose the 3 points, you lose 2 points. What can you do? You can't get them back from after the game's finished with those apologies. So hopefully we see a lot less of that happening. But anyway, that'll be it for now. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you all in the next one. Take care. Peace.